to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast, where today we're going over UFC 277, Pena versus Nunes. First things first, as always, make sure you click that subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. Give a follow over on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're taking over everything piece by piece, and it's going to be real easy if we continue to bring in money. We did pretty well last week. We hit on all of our totals. We hit on one dog and hit on both of our locks. I believe we went 5 of 6 last week, again on picks. So it is what it is. We're crushing it. Keep going. Just so you know, usually I do it a little later in the day. There's a lot going on this week. I was not going to miss a pod, especially for a pay-per-view card. So I have a 2-year-old. I have people doing housework upstairs. It might get a little loud. I have a dog. You might hear some shit, but the only thing you need to hear are the stats and the right way to stack all of these bets together so you make stacks, baby. So let's get it. Let's jump right into it. There's a 13 fight card offering, so a good amount there. So not to waste any of your time, we are going to jump right into the undercard here. And the prelims start off with a very interesting fight card. Again, want to also emphasize this is in Texas, and Texas is known for some very, very odd judging. So be mindful of anyone from the area because some weird, shady stuff could go down. But the first fight of the night, we have Orion Koski at -175 going up against Blood Diamond at +150. He is changing that to his legal name for whatever reason. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 -140. Under 1.5 +110. Let's start with Orion Koski, the favorite here. If you've seen him before, you may not have, because he has a twin brother that also fights in the UFC. So make sure you're doing film on the right one here. The first thing I thought of when I thought about Koski was the gas tank. Orion has the better gas tank out of the two twin brothers, but it's not very good still. He has one of them has 1 round of cardio, one of them has 2 rounds. This is the 2-round twin. If you want to know what Orion Koski fights like, think of if you've ever watched Matt Hughes fight before, and that's about what you got. Is he as good as Matt Hughes? Fuck no. But he has a very, very similar fight style just in the year 2022, so it doesn't work as well. He's a very good wrestler, competent striker, but it's not his bread and butter. Hits extremely hard, but doesn't seem to get a ton of knockouts, a lot of ground and pound finishes. All in all, he's a decent fighter with a good wrestler, bad gas tank is really what we're looking at here. I want to say he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu like purple belt. It's nothing like too high or too low, just kind of average in that aspect. So that does play a part in this particular matchup because Blood Diamond doesn't have any ground game whatsoever. I don't know. He's not very good. He's not very bad. His last time out losing to Phil Rowe. He's going to win the first round. Don't get it twisted. He probably win the first round, but he probably has to finish you there. Otherwise, he could run into some issues, as we saw in the Phil Rowe fight. He won the first round against Phil Rowe and then had nothing left to offer and got starched in the second round. I don't think a gas tank is an issue with Blood Diamond, but that's because he has a lot of other issues here. He's 3-1. His one loss coming to Jeremiah Wells. Now, should have saw that coming. Not his fault losing to Jeremiah Wells. Jeremiah Wells is a killer. But the only reason Blood Diamond is even in the UFC at 3-1 is because he's Israel Adesanya's boy. All in all, his striking is good. That's about all he has. His wrestling is not good. His ground game is not good. He will have a 5-inch reach advantage, so that's nice. All in all, that's really all about. He's only in the UFC because of Israel Adesanya. If you really want to get really greasy, I mean, I think of people like Carlos Ulberg, who lost their first fight in the UFC, being someone's friend, being Izzy's friend, and then came out and won his second fight. I look up Jacob Malkoun, came out being Robert Whitaker's friend, lost his first fight, came out and won the second fight. If you want to do that with Blood Diamond, I get it. I think the safer bet is just the under here. I don't hate the violence bet under 1.5 at plus money, just solely on the fact that Blood Diamond could potentially, he is a better striker, so maybe he can catch Koski with something on the feet. Or if Koski is smart and just takes him down, he might just finish him on the ground. So I can't trust Koski at -170. I guess I can. God, you have to trust Koski here. I don't like it. I hate trusting bad gas tanks, but he's probably the right side. Or I'm probably just going to take the plus money here at plus 110 because I think there's going to be a finish in this fight no matter what. You're just kind of predicting when. Next fight of the night is another one where I just don't like the favorite. I have Ihor Pretoria at minus 145 going up against Nick Nagaramanu. I can never say his name. Nick Naragamanu at plus 125. And this line has actually flipped since, or not flipped, but has definitely decreased. Last time I checked, Nick was a plus 105 favorite. So there is money coming in on Nick. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 plus 115. Under 2.5 minus 145. Let's start with Ihor because he's a fraud. It says he's 20-2. He's God, he is such a fraud. He has pretty decent striking. He throws extremely hard. That's all I got. He tries to mix in wrestling. He's not the greatest wrestler. He'll try it, just kind of throw you off your feet. I'm fine. I respect that. But the thing I have a problem with him is, one, we don't know about his cardio. He doesn't have a lot of fights that go into the second or third round, in all honesty. And when it comes to, actually, I have one where he did go into the third round and he lost it. So, I mean, he has won 2, 3. He's won 3 decisions. So he's 3-1 when you make it past the second round. And one of those I actually watched, and it was very sketchy judging. I don't even think he won that fight. All in all, if you take him down, he's not getting up. He has no ground game whatsoever. It's just his competition. Just look at the people. You can literally physically see it. He beat a decent guy in Contender Series. Good for him. Outside of that, I mean, let's see. Georgie, I watched that fight. That was pretty sketchy. But you see a long streak for someone that's 20-2. He's 0-2, 0-4, 0-3, 0-0, 17-18, 1-9, 0-0, 5-6, 0-0, 1-2, 3-2, 1-6, 5-5, 3-2, 3-2, 17-17, 0-0, 2-2, 0-0. Like, how many people had winning records in that entire win? Like, he's literally the only guys he fought with winning records were 3-2. So very, very, very sketchy. Outside of the Contender Series fight and the last one, that was kind of a question mark against Georgie. But yeah, it's a very, very, Georgie. It's a very sketchy win ratio here. I don't know, man. You're 20-2, but you're only fighting people that have losing records. If you're fighting me all day, you're probably going to win the fight. On the flip side, Nick Naragamanu does the same thing. He was a little bit of a can crusher, in all honesty, before coming into the UFC. Good news is he's fought decent people since being in the UFC. He's fought Kennedy Njoku is a good looking win. He also has fought, let's see who else he has fought. I'm sorry if you hear that in the background. Villanueva's got awful. Alexa Kmore isn't terrible. But at the end of the day, he has a very sus record as well. It's not very good against very good competition. He fought people. They were 10 before entering the UFC. They were 10-13, 2-15, 7-5, 12-41. Jesus, 3-2, 2-1, 0-1, 0-1, 1-3. He's just as bad. But he's been in the UFC his last 3 fights. This is going into his 4th, so at least he has that going for him. The main reason I'm on Nick here is because his striking is not good, but he does fancy himself to be a wrestler. We haven't really seen it in the UFC. I've seen him get like 2 or 3 takedowns, but he doesn't really utilize his grappling prowess. But he can take a punch, man. This dude has a big ass head, and he does not get knocked out. He's never been finished. So all he does is come and throw heavy shots, gas out, and then kind of struggle if he doesn't put you out. Nick's not going anywhere. So he is a punching bag. He is very hittable, but he will have a 3-inch reach advantage. He has fought the better competition. He's been in the UFC longer, and he's durable. So at plus money, that's definitely the side I'm going to be on. So the pick is Nick, and the bet is going to be Nick as well, since he's plus money. The wrong man's favored. Same thing going for the next fight, man. We have Jin Young Kim as a plus 105 dog going up against Jocelyn Edwards at minus 125. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 355. Under 2.5 plus 275. So don't even have to touch that. It's too steamed. But yeah, wrong person's favorite here. Kim's not good, but she's not bad. Her record shows her a lot worse than she actually is. For instance, her last fight against Priscilla Cachoeira, I'm telling you right now, she won that fight. She outlanded her by like 60 significant strikes and somehow lost the fight. I actually had a good friend who had a parlay going. I had a PRP going, and the only fight to lose was that Priscilla Cachoeira fight. So that kind of sucks to be him. He should have made a lot of money that night. But I definitely think she got screwed over. Molly Meatball McCann, she outlanded Meatball, actually. When you go back and you check the numbers, she did get taken down. She does sport a 35% takedown defense. So Molly was losing, decided to take her down, and the control would win her the round. But it was a very close fight, a lot closer than many people thought or what the odds suggested. And obviously, Meatball isn't the worst fighter in the world. He's on a roll right now. And then she fought Alexa Grasso. And Alexa Grasso is good. Alexa Grasso is knocking on the door of a number one contenders fight. And Alexa Grasso might have lost the first round to Kim. I actually think Kim won the first round when I watched that fight. Then she kind of slowed down a little and Grasso took over. But at the end of the day, you exploit Kim by wrestling her and by tiring her out a little bit. Edwards isn't going to do that. Edwards is a striker. Edwards doesn't throw as much as Kim. Yeah, she does. They're both very high volume. Kim throws more, but Edwards throws a decent amount actually after checking the stats. Edwards is kind of the same thing. You beat Edwards by taking her down. She sports a 60% takedown defense. So odds are if you shoot, you're probably going to take her down. And I've seen when she's on the ground, I've never seen her get up. She can't get up when she's on the ground. Her cardio's okay. She slows just a touch. It's the same thing as Kim, in all honesty. She has no power, but Kim doesn't have a ton of it. They're basically the same fighter. Only one of them is favored. Only one of them is a plus 105 dog. The other one's favored. And one of them has fought the better competition. Yes, technically Kim is 1-4 in the promotion, but fighting Meatball Molly McCann, fighting Alexa Grasso, even catch a beating is a little different than fighting Ramona Pasquale and Yanan Wu. Like I definitely think Kim has fought the better competition. So I don't have a lot of negatives on Jocelyn Edwards or Kim. I think they're the exact same fighter. So give me the plus money on it. So the pick is going to be Kim. The bet's going to be Kim. Then the next fight of the night is an interesting one here. We have Michael Morales at minus 650 going up against Adam Fugit at plus 400. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 is even money. Under 1.5 at minus 130. Let's start with Mike Morales because he's good, man. This kid's the future. He's only 23 years old and he's like recently turned 23. He was 22 when he got signed to the UFC. He is pretty decent striking. He has good hands. He's very twitchy, very fast, very powerful. A lot of his wins are by knockout. He has a ground game. It's not like out of this world good, but it's very good for how young he is. I think he's like a purple belt as well. And his wrestling is good, man. I know that you see these people, you'll see it later on in the card where they go to these other countries and they're like national champions, but that doesn't mean much if you're not, coming from Russia or America or Iran or like one of the places that are known for wrestling. This guy is an Ecuadorian junior national champion. So you're like, can it be that good? Well, this Contender Series opponent sure did find out. He did fancy himself to be a Russian wrestler, and he was not able to take him down one time. Michael stuffed every single one of his takedowns and actually took him down and came through as a big dog. And that's when people realize this kid is good. He's 23 years old, so he's ever improving every time you see him out. His next fight in the UFC is his debut against Trevin Giles. And I know Trevin Giles is an apple pie shitter. I know he always shits the bed. But Michael put him out, man, in the first round. That's not easy to do. Trevin Giles is a good fighter. He just has mental lapses and finds ways to lose. He should fight Bobby Green. But at the end of the day, he's a decent fighter. And Michael, he didn't make it look easy, but he put him out. So I have no negatives to say against Michael in all honesty, outside of the fact that he's 23. Sometimes he does fight like a 23-year-old. You can hit him. He's a little bit wild. And he's a little bit hittable. But outside of that, that's something he's working on, and you see it getting better each time out. So that's the reason he's a minus 650 favorite, because he's a prodigy. But at the same time, dude, watching the fight tape, this Adam guy is not bad. He is really not too bad. He is pretty decent striking. He has a wrestling background himself, just on a high school level, just not as much as Michael Morales. He likes to move forward a lot. He looks a lot more comfortable when he's going forward. It doesn't seem like he likes fighting off his back foot. It's just he's a little slow. Michael, like I said, is very twitchy, very fast paced. Adam seems pretty durable. He has been knocked out in the past, but it was one of his very first fights. Outside of that, he seems to be durable. He has okay wins. I mean, he lost to Mr. Van Sant. Shit happens. Mr. Van Sant's not bad. Colleen Hill, I've heard of. He's not terrible, and I think he's fighting on the Contender Series this year. So two basically UFC level competition where his losses. He lost to Nick Maximoff in a grappling competition, but man, that's Nick Maximoff's, and that's up weight classes. Beat Solomon Renfro, who was on the Contender Series. Solomon is a regional scene killer, and then as soon as he gets a step up, he just folds. So, but Adam took him out in literally 40 seconds. So that's pretty interesting. I don't like how low he keeps his hands, especially fighting someone like Morales. So he is someone that I feel like I want to back, just not in this instance. And he's taking it on short notice against a killer. So the pick is going to be Morales. A lot of people are saying that Adam Kid's not bad. Fuck it. We're going to bet him because they just love to play on words on his name. But this just isn't the spot. I agree that Adam is not terrible, but not against Michael. His tendency is, yeah, I can't do it. The pick is going to be Michael. The bet, honestly, I don't want to bet him at minus 650. I don't hate the over. If Fuck It can actually be somewhat durable, even or plus money at just a 1.5, I don't hate it. So the pick is going to be Michael. The bet would end up being the over 1.5. But I'm not running to go bet that, but it's not a terrible look. All right, next fight of the night, we are looking at Jakar Close at minus 225 going up against Rafa Garcia at plus 190. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 210. Under 2.5 plus 170. Let's start with Close because I think he's a good fighter. I think he has very good striking, not a ton of power. He is a decision king outside of his last fight against Brandon Jenkins. I can't believe I bet Brandon Jenkins. He has good striking. 68% takedown defense is pretty huge here. I mean, it's an odd number. I'd like it to be a little higher, but he's fought killers. He fought Beneil Dariush. He fought Giagos. He fought Bobby Green, Venata, David Tamar, Dia Casey. He has fought some really good guys here. He will have a 2-inch reach advantage. I think that's big. He has a cardio advantage. He has pretty good cardio. He's also someone that I notice is a lot better going forward. When you back him up, he doesn't really like to counter anything. He likes to just circle and then go forward. He can't really fight going backwards. So like you put some pressure on him, it might deter him just a touch. I can't guarantee Hoffa's going to do that. Initially looking at this fight, I thought Hoffa was a pretty good dog and that I would put money on him at plus 190. He's someone that's won me money consistently. I bet him against Natan Levy. I bet him against Jesse Ronson. He has been winning money for me left and right. I really like this guy. He is sneaky good wrestling. It's very, very good. At first, I know he was okay at it, but that Natan Levy fight, that Jesse Ronson fight, he has good entries, very good timing. He's a very good wrestler. It's underrated. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. We haven't seen a ton of submissions from him in the UFC, but he has some in El Combate. He has a ton of submissions. And what we've seen in the UFC is his knockout power. He hits hard. He hits very, very hard. Actually, the sub that he had against Jesse Ronson was a club and sub. So I guess we did see his ground game, but it was a club and sub. So it was the striking that led to it. The only problem with him is that he's a little hittable and he gasses. I love Rafa Garcia. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's a sleeper fighter. He's underrated. I think this line is off, but he doesn't really have cardio, and I can't bet him knowing that he's going to have to work for these takedowns. If Jakar Close had like 30% takedown defense, I'd be all over Rafa Garcia. But I saw the guys that were wrestling Close. I saw his wrestling, and it's not terrible. I know it shows 68%, but his wrestling is not that bad. And wrestling is the most exhausting thing in MMA. So if Hoffa's going to shoot these takedowns and not get them, he's just going to drain his gas tank. And close takes over in the later rounds. So I think what I'm going to do is live bet. I'll let Hoffa win round one. He very well might win round one. Or he might knock him out. He throws it really hard, right? So what I'm going to do is not touch this fight. Let Hoffa win round one. And if he does, then I'll live bet close because Hoffa will start to fade. So the pick is going to be close. The bet is going to be close, but not until the later rounds. But you know what? Actually, thinking about it, Hoffa is very, very, very durable. Durable has never been finished. Close is generally durable. I know we all think of the Beneil Dariush fight, but he doesn't generally get knocked out like that. So I do like the over. They're both very durable. Minus 210 is not the worst line in the world. So you can either live bet close or you can just be safe and take the over. I think it's a pretty safe bet in all honesty. All right. Then the next fight of the night is nowhere near safe. We have Dontel Mays as a minus. I have minus 145. That line is definitely increased. I saw him around almost minus 200. And then going up against Hamdi Abdelwahab. I can't. God bless. I tried. Yeah, God, I had it at plus 125. The last time I checked, he was around like plus 140. Over under set at 1.5 as well. Over 1.5 minus 155. Under 1.5 plus 125. Dude, we have to start with Hamdi because this dude fancies himself a wrestler. He's supposed to be a Egyptian national champion wrestler, but it doesn't look the greatest on the fight tape. You also don't have a lot of fight tape with him being 3-0. His striking is not good. I know that he even had time over in bare knuckle fighting, so that's a little sketchy. He's trying to work on his striking, I guess. I don't know. God, this guy is so bad. He's not good. He fought a lot of cans. He has one loss due to illegal strikes, which I watched. They were clearly in the back of the head. There's no debating that. I do like that he has a decision win here, but that's the amateurs, so it's shorter rounds. He hits hard. He hits real hard. It's just not very technical at all, and he's there to get hit. Wrestling on paper is good. I just haven't seen it, so I cannot physically tell you he's going to come out and out wrestle Dontel Mays because I have not seen it. That's the only way he wins, though, because Dontel Mays, I know he's been utilizing his wrestling his last few fights against Parisian, and his wrestling against Roque Martinez, but God, he is not a wrestler. He's improving, I'll give him that, but he's not a wrestler. He will have an 8-inch reach advantage. That's significant, especially because Hamdi can't really strike. Dontel Mays, former boxer, he's a pretty decent striker. Not a ton of power, but decent striker. He has no jiu-jitsu whatsoever. Again, we talked about him getting all of this top control in his last few fights. Obviously, he wasn't getting finishes. He did finish Parisian at the end with the crucifix, but I couldn't sub him or anything. Mays is hittable himself. So let's not act like he's going to just come out and start Hamdi early, just destroy him on the feet. He's hittable himself, but he does have the better experience. He fought Nascimento. He fought Ciryl Gane. God, I should say he got sacrificed to Ciryl Gane. Even the guy from the Ultimate Fighter, Mitchell Sipe or Sipe, however you say his name, is who we beat in the Contender Series. So, I mean, he's fought okay guys, a lot better than Hamdi. Hamdi has basically fought the same guy over and over, like legitimately fought the guy more than once. So, on paper, here's the crazy thing. Everyone loves Mays. The line is going towards Mays. On paper, Hamdi can win this fight. We had no physical evidence that he can. I do think he could be a bust, a bum, one of the worst heavyweights the UFC has ever seen. But if this man can, in fact, wrestle, he has a shot. And the line keeps going up. And I'm never trusting Mr. Hump Your Face Dontel Mays as a minus 200 favorite. Fuck no. So the pick is going to be Mays, but I would bet Hamdi. I might pull the trigger and say a big fuck it to everyone. You know what? Screw it. Yeah, fuck it. I'm going to bet Hamdi. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't trust him, but it's plus money and the plus sign keeps getting bigger. So I'm sold. Pick is Mays, but I would bet Hamdi. God. All right. Next fight of the night, we're looking at another scary one, man. Drew Dober, minus 205 going up against Rafael Alves at plus 175. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 plus 115. Under 2.5 minus 145. We have to start with Alves here because Alves is someone that I never want to put money on or against because he's weird, man. First and foremost, I have absolutely no idea how this man ever made 145. He should have never been there. That could not have been legal. I have no idea. Certain people you look at and go, damn, that's a big featherweight. That's a big light heavyweight. I don't know how this man physically made 145. And he's done it multiple times. I have no idea. He's at 155 now because if you remember the name, he is the one that had the biggest weight miss in UFC history. He was like 12 pounds off weight, something crazy like that. So UFC decided to punish him. Said, you know what? Since you embarrassed us, we're going to make you go up a weight class, and we're going to give you Damir Ismagulov, the guy that has absolutely no fame, the guy that no one knows who is an absolute killer. So you get no reward if you win, and you're being set up to lose because the guy is a killer. And you know what? He came out and dropped Damir and almost spoiled all of their plans. Dude, he cracked Damir. Even at 155, this guy still has power. He cracks. His striking is not good. It is not good whatsoever, but he has so much power. If he touches you, he's like a little. I wouldn't classify Francis Ngannou as being the best striker in the heavyweight division, but he has so much power. It doesn't matter. If he touches you right, you're going out. That's exactly what Alves is. Only difference is Alves has some ground game. He's very, very good on the ground. So he has not a lot of technique on the feet, but a shit ton of power. If you touch the mat, he is dangerous and active on the ground. So he's kind of one of the scary guys to fight, in all honesty. Not the greatest wrestler, so you're going to dictate where you're fighting him. He does get a little hittable, and I think part of that is because he slows down. The gas tank, all that muscle he's carrying does wear on him. So he doesn't have the greatest gas tank, but he explodes when he goes. But that's the problem. He's low volume, very low volume, but when he goes, he bursts. Kind of like, I know Dogger Pass podcast compared him to a Yoel Romero. It's kind of the same striking style, but just very twitchy, explosive, very hard, and then nothing. And then he comes in very hard and aggressive and blitzing, and then nothing. That's exactly how he strikes. On the flip side, we have a technical striker in Drew Dober. Drew Dober is very good on the feet. Drew Dober will have the 2-inch reach advantage, which is huge for him. And he has pretty good losses. I mean, when you really look at this 24-11 record, I mean, did you expect Drew Dober to beat Islam? Like, he's not going to beat Islam. You expect him to beat Brad Riddell? Yeah, that's a close fight. And that was a close fight. It was a great fight, back and forth. Do you expect him to beat Beneil Dariush? No. I mean, Oliver Aubin-Mercier was not bad at the time. Efrain Escudero, former Ultimate Fighter winner, was not bad. Nick Hine, not bad. Like, he does not have bad losses. Will Brooks. Like, these guys are pretty good, especially at the time he fought them. His wins, they're okay. Scott Holtzman, I'll take. Frank Camacho, Nazareth, he wasn't supposed to win that fight. Caught him. Alex Hernandez, he has some interesting. Terrence McKinney on short notice. I mean, his wins aren't the greatest, but you can't gloss over them. I don't know, man. This seems like a setup. If this hits the ground, Dober's in serious trouble. He does not have a good ground game whatsoever. However, he is the more proficient striker. It says, I have also seen Dober get dropped a lot. He got dropped twice in the Terrence McKinney fight. He got dropped in the Brad Riddell fight. He got dropped in some of these he's winning. I don't know, man. Did he get dropped in the Hernandez fight too? I think he did. He's one of these guys that aren't going out, but keep getting dropped, and eventually someone's going to actually put the lights out. It might be Alves, man. Alves hits hard. I really want to see Dogger pass really, really badly. I can't trust that gas tank in that low volume. Oh boy. I think this is another live betting opportunity. Let Drew Dober lose that first round and then bet him when the odd gets a little better. If this thing sniffs the second round, I'm betting Drew Dober. But this is another one you just have to live bet. So the pick is going to be Dober. The bet is either go, you know what? It's going to be violent. Give me the under. Give me the under 2.5. Minus 145 is not a bad price. So the pick is Dober. The under supports Alves a little more. Pick is Dober. Let's go ahead and we're gonna bet the under. God. All right, next fight of the night has me all types of messed up. We have Alex Morono at plus 135 going up against Matt Semmelsberger minus 155, over 2.5 minus 185, under 2.5 plus 150. This is why it has me messed up. I went into this fight convinced that Alex Morono was going to be the favorite. I hate Alex Morono. I can't wait to fade him. Matt Semmelsberger has some power. He's going to knock him out. I'm in a cash bag. Morono is the dog at plus 135. I did not expect that. I really genuinely thought he was going to be the favorite. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's very good on the ground, but you would never know because he doesn't shoot. He's effectively gotten one takedown, I think, in the entirety of the UFC. So that's not a good look. He shot on Reese McKee. I know he had a takedown there. I know Pettis was on his back for a while, but I'm pretty sure Pettis slipped. So if you want to count that as a takedown, you can. But he slipped, and then Morono just hopped on his back and held him down forever. And then Pettis whooped his ass the rest of the fight. So, yeah, that was a scary fight for me. I don't like Alex Morono. Anthony Pettis is my favorite fighter. So, kind of tough. But, yeah, Morono, decent striking. Not bad. Don't get me wrong. I will always take personal feelings and put them aside because Morono has won me money betting on him. I bet him against Cowboy, I bet him against David Zawada, and I bet him against Mickey Gall. So this little 3-fight winning streak, I've cashed on all of this great white. I also hate the name, very sketchy. I know he's talking about the shark, but sketchy. He's a pressure fighter. That's what he is. He's someone with a good ground game that gets in your face. He does not have good striking, but he has high volume and goes forward. When you back him up, he does not look the same. And when he gets backed up is later on in the fight. He does slow a little bit. He honestly does slow. But that first 2 rounds, he's got 2 rounds of cardio perfect. And then the third round, he's not gassed. He's not cooked. But he's just a little slower, and you can back him up a little. On the flip side, you have Matt Semmelsberger. Here's the thing. Matt Semmelsberger hits very, very hard. Alex Morono got dropped. Don't forget, he got axe kicked by Anthony Pettis. He did not go out, but he was on wobbly legs. He got dropped by Reese McKee. He got knocked out cold by Chaos Williams. He's another one of these guys you clip and they get a little shaky. I think even Mickey Gall rocked him at one point. So he's one of these guys that are getting hit, they're getting wobbled, they're getting dropped, but they're not going fully out all the time. This might be the time because Matt cracks pretty hard. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage here, definite power advantage. His cardio, I think he's going to have the cardio advantage. He also has a decently high volume, in all honesty. I'm not a Matt Semmelsberger truther, but matchups make fights. My thing is he has a 42% takedown defense. That number might be a little skewed because AJ Fletcher took him down a lot. But AJ Fletcher is a good wrestler. Alex Morono is not. I think this is going to be predominantly on the feet against 2 people with high volume. One of them has power, one of them doesn't. One of them has a 3-inch reach advantage. So I'm on Matt. I think Matt Semmelsberger is going to win. I don't want to touch the over-under because I think he might crack him. I don't hate the under at plus 150 at 2.5. I really don't hate it. That's probably the way. I'm probably value chasing here. I don't like the line. I think it should be a straight pick 'em. So I don't like Matt at minus 155. The betting side wants me to say the value's on Morono, so I want to bet it. But again, I'm not the biggest Morono fan. I'll back him if I know he's going to win, but I can't say he's going to win. So I'm going to take the under at plus money. Pick is Matt. Bet is going to be the under 2.5 at plus 150. And that takes us to the main card. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you show some love. We're moving on to Magomed Ankalaev, the future champ, minus 460, going up against Anthony Smith at plus 370. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 150, under 2.5 plus 120. Let's go ahead and start with Magomed because he's sketchy, man. I love Magomed. I do wholeheartedly believe he's going to be future champ. He has good striking. His wrestling, the percentage is low, but he utilizes it well. He's good wrestling. His jiu-jitsu is fine. It's not great. It's not bad. It's good enough, especially in the weight class. You got to know where you're at. Not a lot of submission artists at 205. His cardio seems fine. He's gone 5 rounds multiple times. He's just been playing it really, really, really safe as of late. He knows he's a win or two away. Every single time he fights, he thinks it's a number one contenders fight, in all honesty, and he's been fighting like it ever since. The Magomed that fought Paul Craig, the Magomed that fought Dalcha, that fought Ian Cutelaba, are not the same guy that fought Vulcan and Tiago. Vulcan and Tiago were very, very safe fights the way he fought. Very slow paced, methodical, not overextending himself. They were, in hindsight, boring, but he was very safe and got the job done, knowing one of those could get him a title shot. I understand it. I wholeheartedly understand it, as much as it sucks to watch. As long as you put money on it, you're fine. But I totally get why people are frustrated with him, why people want Anthony Smith to win. I personally am not a fan of Anthony Smith. He takes a lot of things very, very personally. I didn't like him talking trash over Ryan Superman Spann after winning. Usually you just hug it out. I know they did afterwards, but right after the win, he started talking shit, and Spann was the bigger guy there and lost. I don't like Anthony Smith yelling at people, saying his corner should have stopped the fight against Glover. They should have stopped the fight. He told them, no, I want to die in here. Like, this guy, I don't know, something about him rubs me the wrong way. He's a great fighter, don't get me wrong. I'll never disrespect him by any means. I just think personally he's a little weird. He has good striking. I mentioned not a lot of people have good ground game at light heavyweight. Anthony Smith does. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, he's pretty decent on the ground. No wrestling whatsoever. 30% takedown defense. Take him down when you want. Very hittable, honestly. A lot of that is a Glover fight, but Owen and the John Jones, a lot of it, honestly, he's just there to get hit. He's not the greatest striking. It's okay. He cracks, he hits kind of hard, but it's not the greatest striking. He's a former 185 pounder. I think he looks a lot better at 205. I think he made the right decision moving up. I don't know about leaving his camp, though. I know he left and now he's training with like Brian Barberina and stuff. It's just more personal stuff. He has a lot of like personal stuff come into the fight game, and I'm just not the biggest fan. Phenomenal jab. Honestly, one of the best jabs in the weight class. I think he might have the best jab in 205 in the UFC. And I think he's going to use that against Magomed. And I think Anthony Smith's going to win the first round. Because Magomed, he always tries to strike or do something and then realizes, I'm just going to take you down and hold you down. Anthony Smith does not have good wrestling to stop him from taking him down. So my gut feeling, I'll tell you exactly how this fight is going to go. Smith is going to come out, jab Magomed to death, win the first round based on sheer volume. Magomed's going to take him down and hold him down for the next 2 rounds, and he should get the win, but it's probably going to go to a split decision because we're in Texas and this judging is nuts. So the pick is going to be Magomed. The bet's just going to be the over. I don't want to play the game with Texas judging, with Magomed playing it safe, with Anthony Smith just jabbing all day and getting taken down. I want no part of either side at these odds. So the pick is going to be Magomed, but I'm betting the over, minus 150. Not a bad look at all. Next fight of the night is the hardest fight on the card, and probably one of the most exciting ones, which is why it makes it one of the hardest to bet. We have Alexander Pantoja at minus 170 going up against Alex Perez at plus 145. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 145. Under 2.5 plus 115. Let's start with Pantoja, because I think Pantoja is getting screwed here. I think Pantoja should be fighting for the title over Kai Kara France. Pantoja, the last time he lost was to Askar Askarov in 2020. He beat Manel Kopp. He beat Brandon Royval. He's beaten Moreno twice. His losses were to Dustin Ortiz, who's no longer in the promotion, but was very good. Askarov and David Zed Figueroa. So he's only losing to the best. He also, even prior to UFC, losing to Formiga. Bad luck. Like, that was in 2010. So the guy is the complete package. He has very good striking. Even that win against Manel Kopp was a sheerly striking affair, and he won. So good striking, great jiu-jitsu, very, very active. I did not realize how active his guard truly was. 67% takedown defense. Again, I want that number to be a little higher. I like it better when they're above 70. He's just under. Very durable, has never been finished in his career. So all in all, he's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. He has all of the advantages. There's nothing wrong with Alexander Pantoja. He could be champion, in all honesty. I think he's beaten Moreno already. I think if they rematch, that Davidson fight was close. I think he's close to beating him. I think if he fights Kai Kara France, he kills Kai Kara France. I honestly do. This seems the way to beat Pantoja is to take him down and ground him and stay safe. That's what Alex Perez is going to do. Alex Perez is a wrestler. Alex Perez is okay striking, but pretty high volume. His jiu-jitsu on paper is a black belt, and his wrestling's phenomenal, one of the best in the division. So he's going to do exactly what you need to do to beat Pantoja. Take him down and stay safe. I just have a few red flags with Alex Perez. I was ready to pull the trigger. I was thinking Pantoja probably only loses to like 3 people in the whole division, and one of them is Alex Perez. Ready to pull the trigger on the plus 150. I think it should be a pick'em. And then I saw 2 things. One, Perez has not fought since he lost his title shot against Davidson Figueiredo. That was 2 years ago. We have not seen him for 2 years. Then he's had 6 canceled bouts since. It's not that he was injured and now he's coming back. Things keep happening. I mean, Askarov canceled. Matt Schnell. I know the last one with Matt Schnell, he missed weight and looked so bad that they canceled the fight. That's not a good look. This is at 125 again. So you have to watch him on the scales because he has not physically fought at this weight class for 2 years. And the second thing that really, really concerns me, Alex Perez, look at his record. He's 24-6. His loss, Davidson Figueiredo, submission. Joseph Benavidez, ground and pound, so on the ground. Jared, whatever the hell his name is, doesn't matter, submission. Adam, submission. John McCauley, submission. Edgar Diaz, submission. So all 6 of his losses happened on the ground. Pantoja has an active guard. In order for Perez to win, I do think Pantoja is the better striker. I know Perez has those filthy leg kicks, but I think Pantoja's fine with it. I think Pantoja's the better striker. In order for Perez to win, he has to play with fire, and he has to take Pantoja down. Pantoja's guard is active. I think he catches him eventually. So I think they're each other's kryptonite. Literally. Alex Perez fights the only way to beat Pantoja. Pantoja is very good at the only way to beat Alex Perez. So I think it should be a pick 'em. I want to go Perez, but I can't with that 2-year layoff. The pick is going to be Pantoja. The bet would be Pantoja. I can't play the over-under game because I don't know when that sub is going to happen if it does. So, God. Bet is Pantoja, pick is Pantoja, but stay the fuck away. Just enjoy that fight. It's going to be a great fight. And enjoyed the next fight for as long as it lasts. We have Sergey Pavlovich at minus 130 going up against Derek Lewis at even money. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 is plus 120. Under 1.5 minus 150. Let's just start with the Black Beast. First and foremost, we're in Texas, baby. This guy is known for being Mr. Texas of MMA. So if this thing somehow hits the scorecards, which it won't, favor Lewis. His striking is not good. His wrestling is not good. His ground game, non-existent. Cardio, not good. Back can get backed up, 37 years old. He has 0 positives to him, besides the fact that he's a very nice guy. Unlike Anthony Smith, I like this guy personally. And his power. He is the hardest hitter in the UFC. I know it's him or Francis. Technically, on paper, he has the most knockouts in UFC history. This man is not technical. He is not going to be a pro boxer. He is not going to be a wrestler. He is not going to go to any jiu-jitsu competitions. This man hits hard. It only takes one. Ask Chris Curtis. Ask Chris Dawkins. Ask Curtis Blades. Ask Chris Dawkins. Ask Olenek. Ask any of these people, man. Ask Alexander Volkov. Because look at this. 449 in the round 3. Volkov whooped his ass at MSG for 3 complete rounds. 10 seconds left in the entire fight. Cracks him once, puts him out. All it takes is one. On the flip side, we have Sergey. He took a long break, but came back and looked okay. He hasn't fought the greatest people, in all honesty. He has high volume for a heavyweight, and he does have pretty crisp striking. He will have a 5-inch reach advantage, and he has power too. So that's why the over-under set at 1.5 and the over is plus money. It's because both of these guys, all it takes is one. And Derek Lewis has been knocked out before, but Sergey has two on the ground with Alistar over him. So all in all, this kid's pretty good. It's going to be a striker if fair. It's technique and power versus more power is all it is. And that's why Sergey was bet up to be the favorite. I also think Sergey wins, but this is kind of a dog or pass situation. If that line keeps growing, I will take a shot on Derek Lewis just because. Or, you know what? No, I won't. I think the under 1.5 should probably hit. I know it's only 1.5, but these guys aren't going to take each other down, and you just got to clip them once. So the pick is going to be Sergey. The bet is going to be the under 1.5. Then the next fight is our first championship fight. We have Brandon Moreno at minus 205 going up against KKF, Kai Kara France at plus 175. Over under set at 4.5. Over 4.5 is minus 160. Under 4.5 at plus 130. Let's start with Kai Kara France because I think he's getting pushed a little too quickly, in all honesty. He's not super old. He's still only like 27 years old. How old is he? 29, sorry. He's still 29 years old. I don't think he should be in a title fight yet. I think he needs one or two more because when you really go back and you look at his record, it's shaky. Rogerio Bontorin was whooping his ass, but he missed weight. It has nothing to do with KKF, but he missed weight. He slowed down. KKF caught him with a punch and put him out. Cody Garbrandt is known for having a really, really, really suspect chin. He caught him at his first time at 125 and put him out. Again, he bills himself as being this potent power puncher because two of his last three were by knockout. But Askar Askarov, I watched that fight live. Askarov was in control. He gassed out as he's done before and just ended up losing the fight in a close one. And that's a credible win. I can take nothing away from him there. But the Bontorin one was kind of weird, and then it was stopped but not stopped. It was a very odd fight. And Cody Garbrandt sucks. He's always been overrated, and all you have to do is touch him once, and he's going out. So he should. I don't even think he should be at 125. Then you look before that, he lost to Brandon Royval, which he might have been winning. It was pretty close, but the moment it hit the ground, he got spinning back elbowed, and then he got tapped out. You had Tyson Nam's not the greatest win. Brandon Moreno, they already fought. Brandon Moreno whooped his ass on the feet. Mark De La Rosa, Julian Paiva, they're not great wins in all honesty. Askar Askarov is a great win. I will never take that away from him. But to say he's on a 3-fight winning streak and getting this over Royval, who just beat him, or literally a year and a half ago, or getting it over Pantoja, who's fought nothing but killers. Like, it's just weird to me that those two got overlooked by KKF, but that has nothing to do with him. Again, he's doing what he's supposed to. 86% takedown defense, good striking. The power's a little overrated, but this is also the first time I've seen him in a 5-round fight, and that's very, very crucial. Just because he's not as good backing up, and cardio is usually not an issue with flyweight. But Moreno's been in a lot of 25 and a lot of 5-round fights, and he's perfectly fine there. He will have a 4-inch reach advantage in Brandon Moreno. He will have the experience in championship fights as this is his fourth. He has good striking as well. He has great wrestling. He has great jiu-jitsu, and he has good cardio. So, all in all, we've already seen this fight, and Kai Kara France is the striker. Moreno is the wrestler. They struck the entire time, and Moreno won. Kai Kara France won round 1. Moreno figured him out and destroyed him in rounds 2 and 3. Now they have 5 rounds to deal with. So even if KKF comes out and wins the first round again, Moreno is probably going to figure it out and win. Or if he wants to utilize the wrestling, there's not a lot of wrestlers KKF was fighting. So yeah, had 86% takedown defense. But Bontorin made it look pretty easy when he took him down to start that fight. It looked pretty easy. And Brandon Moreno's a better wrestler than Rogerio Bontorin. So the pick is going to be Moreno. He has more ways to win. He could beat him on the feet. He already did. He would kill him on the ground, and he's a better wrestler. Pick is Moreno. Bet is Moreno at minus 205. That's great value. And then that takes us to the main event of the evening, the rematch. Juliana Pena, the champ, plus 230, going up against Amanda Nunes at minus 275. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 105. Under 2.5 minus 125. Sketchy. sketchy, all left and right. Let's start with Pena, because I don't think Pena is that good. Her striking is not that good. Her wrestling's okay. Her ground game's okay. She's durable as all hell. And I should say she has 22% takedown defense, but her wrestling offense is pretty good. So it's weird. She's just a weird fighter. Talking about people you don't really like, I think Pena is a little bit of a douche, getting in bar fights. And I think the comments about Amanda not being a real mom because she didn't birth her child really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But neither here or say. I mean, all in all, I don't know how she got the title shot to begin with. She beat Sarah McMahon. Sarah McMahon was whooping her ass, then did Sarah McMahon things and gassed out because she's like 67 years old. And she was able to take advantage and tap her out. And got a title shot off a win over Sarah McMahon. Does that not look weird to you? She got choked out by a kickboxer the fight before that. I thought Amanda was going to murder her. But there is one thing about Amanda Nunes that has been constantly overlooked, which is her gas tank. Amanda, we know Amanda has phenomenal striking, great power, good wrestling, great jiu-jitsu. We know she has all of the tools. 82% takedown defense for when Julia wants to try to wrestle. But her cardio's always been a question, especially with her switching camps. I'm not the biggest fan of her starting her own camp, leaving ATT, but she is still training with some ATT guys, so it's kind of odd. I don't know why she's doing that. It's her cardio, man. We've seen it rear its ugly head in the last fight. We saw her cardio come into effect against Valentina. In one of their fights, she slowed down tremendously and ended up just winning a split. We saw her get a little tired against GDR, but was able to get the takedown to where it didn't matter. When you look at her win streak, after Valentina was a close, greasy fight because she gassed out. Outside of that, the Baszler, round 1, McMahon, round 1, Tate, round 1, Rousey, round 1, Valentina here was the split where she gassed out. Raquel Pennington, round 5, she looked perfectly fine there. I have no complaints. She looked phenomenal. Chris Cyborg, round 1, Holly Holm, round 1, JDR, decision. Felicia Spencer, decision. But those were not competitive fights. She whooped their asses, and when she got tired, she would take them down and just stay on top. Say, oh God, just let me just survive because I am gassed out. Then we saw her dismantle Megan Anderson round 1, and then the Pena fight. She's also on record saying she was hurt. She wanted to pull out, but there was that she didn't want to because she was scared of what the UFC would do. I kind of believe her solely on the fact that there was a point in time where she was booked for a main event fight and she had to pull out. And Dana White said he will never book Amanda Nunes as a main event ever again. He was so mad at her. He publicly chastised her and said he will never book her as a main event. Then she was a main event, got hurt per her, said she was scared to pull out. I kind of believe her. So if you're telling me she wasn't at 100%, she probably wasn't able to train at 100%. She wasn't able to train at 100%. She's probably hurting and not able to train her cardio. So she was fatiguing even more because she gassed out in the second round against Pena. She's a gasser. She will slow down, but not in the second round, not 10 minutes in. That seemed a little unusual. I feel like there was something off. I think we're getting a discount now. I don't think Pena's that good. I just watched her get choked out by JDR 2 fights ago. I think she was at the right place at the right time. I think the little miracle run is over. And I also feel like Nunes is a millionaire. She doesn't really need the money. She wasn't really motivated. Now she's healthy and motivated, I do think she gets the job done. So I think the path of least resistance is to take down Julia Pena with 22% takedown defense and try to submit her like JDR did or GDR did. That's sketchy. But I think Nunes hates her and is going to want to knock her out. That's not the approach I would take, but I think at the end of the day, Nunes still wins. So the pick is going to be Amanda. The bet is going to be Amanda. And that is UFC 277. Again, make sure you give this video a like, a subscribe, follow on all social media platforms with TikTok, with Twitter, with Instagram, wherever you can find social media. We're there. We're making picks and we're making money, baby. Let's get it.